When the wedding invitation came in the mail, it wasn't he addressed to me. It was addressed only to my husband, Ethan. That alone felt like a punch in the gut. His younger brother, Caleb, was getting married in a lavish ceremony in Napa Valley. We'd been married for 6 years, and I'd always tried to be close to his family. Birthdays, holidays, family barbecues, I was always there. But that envelope made it very clear that this time, I wasn't too welcome. Ethan saw my face when I handed him the letter. He froze, then quickly said, "Oh, babe, it's just a formality. They're keeping the guest list small." Small, it was a 200-person wedding. I knew because the bride-to-be, Tara, had bragged about it on Instagram. I didn't to push at first. I told myself maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe there'd be another invite coming for me. But the more I waited, the more Ethan started acting off. Late-night texts, whispered calls in the garage, deleted messages. Then one night, I overheard him on the phone with his mom. She said, "Just tell her it's work. She doesn't need to know." That sentence shattered something inside me. He wasn't just forgetting to include me. He was hiding something. So I did what any woman whose gut screams, "You're being lied to" would do. I opened his email. And that's when I saw the truth. A long email thread from Tara, as maid of honor, confirming hotel reservations for Ethan and another guest listed as +1. Anna W. Not me. Not his wife. Anna, his ex. My hands went cold. My vision blurred. He had told me he hadn't spoken to her in years. But now they were going to a wedding together. His brother's wedding, while I was supposed to sit at home and pretend everything was fine. That night, I didn't confront him. I just stared at him while he slept, wondering how much of our marriage was built on lies. And what hurt the most was realizing that everyone in his family probably already knew that. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there replaying every moment of our marriage. Every time Ethan told me I was too sensitive. Every time he brushed off my intuition as jealousy. And now I had proof that my gut had been right all along. By morning I had 2 choices. Confront him or play along until I knew the whole truth. I chose both. Over breakfast he acted like everything was normal. Smiling, making coffee, asking about my day. It was almost insulting. So I looked at him and said calmly, "Who is Anna W. Ethan?" The color drained from his face, faster than I've ever seen. He stammered, "WH. What are you talking about?" I pulled out my phone, showed him the email, and said, "You tell me he tried to grab the phone." When he realized I wasn't giving in, his tone changed, cold, defensive. "It's not what you think. Caleb invited her because they're still friends. I didn't want to make things awkward. That's why I didn't tell you." I left. "Actually laugh, you mean to tell me your ex is your +1 to your brother's wedding, and I'm supposed to just stay home?" He slammed his mug down. "You're overreacting. It's just one weekend. One weekend with his ex in Napa Valley. At a romantic vineyard wedding." He said it like I was crazy for feeling betrayed. That's when I realized this wasn't a mistake. This was planned by him. by his family, by everyone who thought I'd just stay quiet. That evening I called Caleb myself. My hands were shaking as I asked, "Hey, did you mean to invite Anna and not me?" He hesitated too long, then sighed, "Look, it's complicated. Terry doesn't really like you. And Mom thought it'd be less drama if we invited Anna, since she has known the family longer. Less drama. So they excluded me, his wife, to avoid drama." I didn't he yell. I didn't he cry. I just said thanks for letting me know and hung up. Ethan came home later that night, pretending everything was fine, again asking if I wanted to order takeout. I looked at him and said, "You know what, Ethan? Go to the wedding. Take Anna. Enjoy your little family reunion." He smiled in relief. He thought he'd won. But what he didn't know was that I had already packed a bag. And I wasn't planning on being here when he got back. When Ethan left for Napa that Friday morning, he kissed my forehead like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't seen the messages. Like I hadn't watched him lie straight to my face. He packed his best suit, his cologne, and that fake smile he always used for his family. I stood by the door, pretending to be calm. Pretending that I wasn't planning something. The truth was I already had a plan. I wasn't going to beg for answers anymore. I was going to show them what they'd done. After he drove off, I sat on the couch and scrolled through social media. By noon terror, the bride was already posting behind-the-scenes clips of the rehearsal dinner. Ethan was in the background of one video, laughing with Anna, his arm around her. My chest burned, but not from heartbreak anymore. From clarity. I screenshot everything. Every single photo, every tag. Every post. Because I knew exactly how their little family weekend was going to look to everyone online once the truth came out. I didn't just stay home that weekend. I booked a hotel downtown and made plans with a friend, Talia, who worked in PR. She was the kind of friend who didn't say, "I told you so," she said. "What is the play?" And together we made one. By Saturday afternoon, I posted something on my private Instagram story, visible only to mutuals from Ethan's family. It was just one picture. My wedding ring on the kitchen counter with the caption, "Sometimes the best RSVP is silence." Within an hour my phone blew up. Text from his mom, his sister. "Even Caleb, what does that mean? Are you okay? Did something happen?" And then Ethan called over and over. I didn't answer, but that night, I got a DM from one of Tara's bridesmaids, a girl I barely knew. She sent me a photo from the reception. Ethan and Anna dancing. His hands on her waist. Her head on his shoulder. She wrote, "I thought you should see this." Everyone else talking. I didn't even need to respond. By the next morning, half the guests at that wedding were whispering. Ethan's perfect image, the loyal husband, the charming brother, started to crumble before the cake was even cut. When he came home Sunday night, his face was pale, his phone still buzzing. He walked in and said, "What did you do?" And for the first time in our entire marriage, I smiled and said nothing. "You didn't start." Ethan stood in the doorway, still wearing his wrinkled suit, looking like the world had just ended. Maybe for him it had. He dropped his bag and said, "You humiliated me in front of my entire family." I looked up from the couch, calm, detached. "No, Ethan. You did that all by yourself." He started pacing, pulling at his hair, muttering about how it wasn't he supposed to go this way. I almost laughed. What did he think would happen? That I'd quietly accept being erased from his life, while he paraded his ex around like some trophy of nostalgia. When he finally stopped yelling, I said, "You really want to talk about humiliation? Let's talk about that wedding invitation. Let's talk about your family pretending I don't exist." That Hess, when he snapped. "They didn't he invite you because you made Mom uncomfortable?" He shouted. "She said you were too intense. You don't know when to let things go." Uncomfortable. I almost couldn't breathe from how absurd it was. I was uncomfortable because I refused to let his mother belittle me for not quitting my job or for not having kids yet. And then it hit me. The reason Anna was invited, the reason his mom and brother excluded me, it was random. It was strategic. They wanted Anna back in the picture. The sweet, obedient ex who never talked back, who fit into their family mold perfectly. When I said that out loud, Ethan didn't he deny it. He just sighed. They always thought she was better for me. Better. That word echoed like a gunshot. After 6 years of marriage, I was being compared to a ghost of his past and somehow losing. I stood up, took off my ring, and placed it back on the counter, right where I'd left it before. "Then maybe they can have you too," I said quietly. He didn't chase me when I walked out. By the next morning, I had 20 missed calls from his sister, one from his mother, and shockingly, one from Caleb. His text read, "I need to talk. There is something you don't know about Anna." That message sat in my inbox like a ticking bomb. Because for the first time since this whole nightmare began, I realized the story might be even darker than I thought. When Caleb texted me that he needed to talk, I didn't know whether to block him or hear him out. But curiosity won. We met the next day at a quiet coffee shop downtown. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, like he hadn't slept since the wedding. He didn't even order coffee. Just sat down and said, "You were right." None of it made sense. I crossed my arms. "Then explain it to me. Why was I uninvited from your wedding? Why was my husband dancing with his ex while everyone smiled like it was normal?" He swallowed hard. "Because Mom made me do it. She said it was for the family's image." I blinked. "What image?" He hesitated, then said something I'll never forget. "Anna's pregnant." My stomach dropped for a second. I couldn't even process it. He rushed to add, "But it's not what you think. It's Ethan S." I felt the air leave my lungs. It was like the whole world tilted sideways. He explained everything in a low, broken voice. Apparently, Ethan and Anna had reconnected months before, during one of his so-called business trips. When Anna found out she was pregnant, she told their mom first, not Ethan. And instead of telling me, his mother decided to cover it up. Her plan: invite Anna to the wedding to make it look like the family was still connected to her. If rumors started, they could control the narrative. So they kept me out of the picture. The inconvenient wife. I sat there in silence, shaking. Caleb looked like he hated himself. I swear, I didn't know until after the rehearsal dinner. He said, "Mom thought you'd ruin the wedding if you found out." I laughed bitterly. "So instead you all ruined my marriage." He looked at me with guilt, but I didn't care. I was done being the family scapegoat. When I left that cafe, I wasn't broken, I was furious. By the time I got home, I'd already called a lawyer. And that night I posted a single sentence on Facebook. Visible to everyone, including his entire family. Funny how family image. Doesn't he look so perfect when the lies start showing? The next morning my inbox exploded. And Ethan, he finally called, but not to apologize. He called to beg me not to tell anyone what I knew. When Caleb texted me that he needed to talk, I didn't know whether to block him or hear him out. But curiosity won. We met the next day at a quiet coffee shop downtown. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, like he hadn't slept since the wedding. He didn't even order coffee. Just sat down and said, "You were right." None of it made sense. I crossed my arms. "Then explain it to me. Why was I uninvited from your wedding? Why was my husband dancing with his ex, while everyone smiled like it was normal?" He swallowed hard. "Because Mom made me do it. She said it was for the family's image." I blinked. "What image?" He hesitated, then said something I'll never forget. "Anna's pregnant." My stomach dropped for a second. I couldn't even process it. He rushed to add, "But it's not what you think. It's Ethan's." I felt the air leave my lungs. It was like the whole world tilted sideways. He explained everything in a low, broken voice. Apparently, Ethan and Anna had reconnected months before, during one of his so-called business trips. When Anna found out she was pregnant, she told their mom first, not Ethan. And instead of telling me, his mother decided to cover it up. Her plan: invite Anna to the wedding, to make it look like the family was still connected to her. If rumors started, they could control the narrative. So they kept me out of the picture. The inconvenient wife. I sat there in silence, shaking. Caleb looked like he hated himself. I swear, I didn't know until after the rehearsal dinner. He said, "Mom thought you'd ruin the wedding if you found out." I laughed bitterly. "So instead you all ruined my marriage." He looked at me with guilt, but I didn't care. I was done being the family scapegoat. When I left that cafe, I wasn't broken, I was furious. By the time I got home, I'd already called a lawyer. And that night I posted a single sentence on Facebook. Visible to everyone, including his entire family. Funny how family image. Doesn't he look so perfect when the lies start showing? The next morning my inbox exploded. And Ethan, he finally called, but not to apologize. He called to beg me not to tell anyone what I knew. When Ethan called, his voice was shaking. Not with guilt, with fear. He say, "I'm sorry." He said, "You can't tell anyone." That was the moment I knew exactly what mattered to him. Not me, not our marriage. Not the baby growing inside his ex. Just his reputation. I stayed quiet, letting him dig his own grave. He rambled about how it was a mistake, How his mom had handled it poorly. How he was confused. Every excuse in the book. Then he said something that froze me. "We can fix this if you just don't make a scene a scene." I had been erased, humiliated, betrayed, and he was worried about a scene. So I made one. But not the way he expected. I didn't he scream. I didn't he post a dramatic rant, or throw his clothes on the lawn. I went silent. Dead silent. And in that silence, I built something he couldn't stop. A perfect storm. First I met with my lawyer. We drafted a separation agreement and froze our joint accounts. Then I called Talia, my PR friend. I told her everything. She didn't even blink. "You want to destroy his image?" she asked. I said no. I just want the truth to breathe. By the next week, I had all the receipts, emails, text, photos from the wedding. Even a message Anna had sent to Ethan 2 months earlier. "Your mom said you'd tell her after the wedding. Please don't make me do this alone." It was damning. So I did what every betrayed woman in the social media age does best. I let the internet do the talking. I created a Reddit post. Not under my name. Not even in AITA. Just a throwaway account with the title, "My husband got his ex pregnant, and his family hid it by uninviting me from his brother's wedding." I didn't he use real names. I didn't he have to. The story spread faster than wildfire. Comments flooded in, thousands of people calling out the lies, the manipulation, the gaslighting. Within 24 hours, it was trending. Within 48, Ethan's company, HR department contacted him. He called me again, voice trembling. "Why would you do this?" And I told him the truth. Calm as ice, because for once, Ethan, you don't get to control the narrative. The Reddit post exploded, faster than I could have imagined. By the second day, it was everywhere. Screenshots on TikTok, reposts on Instagram, reaction threads on Facebook. And even though ID kept everything anonymous, people who knew us figured it out fast. Ethan's co-workers started whispering. His friends stopped replying. His boss temporarily suspended him to protect company integrity. He felt guilty. But instead I felt relieved. For the first time in months, the truth wasn't he locked inside me. It was out there, free. And it was louder than all of his lies combined. Then the phone rang. Caller ID Linda, Ethan's mom. I almost didn't pick up. But curiosity won again. "Sweetheart," she started, in that condescending tone she used when pretending to be gentle. "I think we should talk woman to woman." I laughed. "Now you want to talk?" She sighed dramatically. "Look, I admit we handled things poorly. But Ethan is your husband. You can't destroy him over one mistake. One mistake. He cheated, lied, and got another woman pregnant." I said coldly. "That is not a mistake, Linda. That is a pattern." She ignored that. "If you keep this going, you'll ruin his career. Do you really want that on your conscience?" I almost choked on the irony. "You mean the way you ruined my marriage behind my back?" Her mask cracked for a split second. You should be even more understanding. Anna's situation wasn't easy. That sentence told me everything. She didn't care about me. She didn't even care about Ethan's betrayal. She just wanted control, to keep her family's image spotless. So I said something I'd been holding back for too long. You taught your son that lying fixes everything. Congratulations, now he has just like you. She gasped, then hung up. Not even an hour later, Ethan texted me. Mom says you went too far. I hope you're proud of yourself. I stared at that message for a long time. Then typed back, I'm not proud. I'm free. But freedom had its cost. Because later that night, someone slipped an envelope under my apartment door. No return address. No name. Inside was a single ultrasound photo and a note written in neat cursive. This is what you will never have. When I saw the ultrasound photo, my stomach clenched so tight, I thought I'd be sick. I held that picture like it might burn through my hands, not because of the baby, but because of the message. This is what you will never have. It wasn't to Ethan's handwriting. I knew that immediately. His mother, maybe. Or Anna. Either way, it was meant to hurt. And it worked. For the first time since all of this began. I cried. Not out of heartbreak, but exhaustion. I've been holding myself together, with anger and adrenaline, but that photo cut deeper than I expected. I wanted to throw it away. Burn it, forget it. But something about it felt off. The date. The ultrasound was dated 3 months earlier, before Ethan's so-called business trip, before he supposedly even reconnected with Anna. That's when the doubt started creeping in. What if it wasn't his? The next morning I called Caleb again. He hesitated to answer, but when he finally did, I asked who gave Anna that ultrasound photo. He sighed. I don't know. But there is something weird you should know. Apparently, after the wedding blew up online, Anna had disappeared. She deblocked everyone, including Ethan. No one had seen her since. Caleb said quietly, Ethan told Mom the baby wasn't his. He demanded a test. My mind spun and Anna refused. She said she didn't need to prove anything. That was all I needed to hear. I went silent, thinking about all the years. Ethan and his family had made me feel like the outsider, the problem, the lesser woman. And now the woman they'd chosen over me might have lied to them. Karma, I thought, has a wicked sense of humor. 2 days later, I got another message from a private number. It was a single video file. No caption. When I opened it, my heart stopped. Anna was in a dimly lit room crying, saying, I'm sorry. It's not his. Please tell him I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to go this far. The video cut off after 10 seconds. And just like that, everything changed again. Because now I wasn't the villain of the story anymore. I was the only one holding the truth and the power in my hands. I watched that video over and over, my hands trembling. Anna's face pale, broken, desperate, looked nothing like the smug woman I'd seen at the wedding. And her voice, it wasn't fake. She meant every word. It's not his. That single sentence was the key. That unlocked every lie, every manipulation, every cruel word they'd thrown at me. For the first time in months, I didn't feel powerless. I felt steady. And I knew exactly what I had to do. Ethan's mom texted me 2 days later, asking to have a civilized dinner to discuss next steps. Perfect. One arrived early. The restaurant was one of those upscale, family places they always went to, the kind where everyone smiles too wide and pretends the air doesn't reek of tension. Ethan was already there, along with Linda and Caleb. He looked thinner, nervous, like he hadn't slept in days. When I sat down, Linda forced a smile. "You look well," she said. Like she wasn't the one who sent that cruel note. I placed my phone face down on the table. "Let us skip the small talk." Ethan cleared his throat. "We just want to find a way to end this quietly. For everyone's sake. Quietly, of course. Always about control. Always about image." I smiled. "Sure, but first, I think you should see something." I hit play. Anna's tear-streaked face appeared on my phone screen. Her voice trembling. "It's not his. Please tell him I'm sorry." Silence. Ethan went pale. Linda froze, her wine glass shaking in her hand. Caleb looked like he'd even punched. No one spoke for a full 30 seconds. Then Ethan whispered, "Where did you get that?" "Doesn't he matter?" I said. "What matters is you built this entire circus on a lie." Linda finally found her voice. "You could come to us privately." I laughed. "Privately, you mean like you did when you erased me from your family?" Ethan's hands were shaking. "Now she lied to me." I leaned forward, calm and cold. "So did you." Then I stood up, dropped a small envelope on the table and said, "That's the signed divorce agreement. Enjoy your new life, Ethan, and good luck explaining all this when your company asks why your name's trending again." As I walked out, I didn't look back. Because for the first time in this entire nightmare, I didn't need revenge. I already had justice. It's been 6 months since that dinner. 6 months since I walked away from the ashes of the life I thought I wanted. The divorce went through quietly, ironic considering how loud everything else had been. Ethan signed without fighting. Maybe out of guilt. Maybe out of exhaustion. His company let him go a month later. Word got out about the scandal, and investors don't like chaos. Anna disappeared completely. No social media, no trace. Caleb told me she moved out of state to start over. I hope she does. I hope she finds peace, because for all the pain she caused, she was just another casualty in Linda's obsession with perfection. And Linda, she tried to reach out twice. First to apologize, then to ask if I could take the Reddit post down. I ignored both. Let the truth live. As for me, I moved cities. Got my own place. Started painting again. Something I hadn't done since college. I'm learning how to live without apologizing for taking up space. Sometimes I still wake up in the middle of the night, expecting to hear Ethan's keys at the door. Old habits don't die easy. But then I remember peace. Those T's sound like footsteps. It sounds like silence. Last week I got a message from Caleb. Just 3 words: you were right. Attached was a picture of Ethan looking older, standing outside a small apartment building alone. I didn't feel satisfaction. Not really. What I felt was clarity. For years I thought love meant loyalty, even when it hurt. Now I know love also means leaving when you're no longer respected. Sometimes I still think about that ultrasound photo, the one meant to break me. I keep it in a drawer, not as a reminder of pain, but as proof that even lies can give birth to truth. So AITA, for telling my husband the truth about his brother's wedding and destroying his family. Maybe to them I am. But to myself, I finally stopped being the villain in their story and became the hero in mine.